I'm Brian, and this is Game Story Basics. Let's talk about Scene Structures Part 5, the button. So we've been looking at two specific scenes, and both have a great example of something called the button. This is a writing term for an action, a line, a beat, something at the end of a scene that is like punctuation. You don't want the scene to just kind of end and peter out and the characters are like, okay, I guess the scene's over. So the button, if it's a punctuation, you might say it could be a question mark, an exclamation point, or just a good old-fashioned period. But it adds something to the scene and lets us feel that there is a strong ending, that the scene is now over. So let's watch a little bit of the Killing Eve scene and check out the button.
Don't forget, the only thing that makes you interesting is me. We'll try again in the morning.
So Villanelle adds a fun turn to the scene with her line about what makes Eve interesting. But then Eve closes the scene by saying, we'll try again tomorrow, and leaving. And that strong statement from Eve is actually the button. Even though it's not as entertaining as Villanelle's line, it's the one that says, okay, this conflict is not resolved, but we're putting it on hold for now, and we will pick up again later, and the scene is now over. Right? And that's more of a standard button, where it simply brings the scene to a definitive close. Let's look at the button from the Barry scene, which adds punctuation by changing the tone.
Don't fuck with me, buddy. It's not polite.
Here, the button is Hank's upbeat pop music, which changes the tone from his murderous stare and gives us a release to end the scene. So you can see that the button does not have to be dialogue. In fact, it often is not. In this case, it's funny, and we've had all this tension built up, and if the scene just ended like that, it would give us kind of a weird feeling, and depending on what scene comes after, it might make for a bad transition. So it just gives us this release, and we go, that was intense, but that last bit was funny, and now we're kind of more at a baseline state for the next scene. That's it for buttons. There's lots more to talk about in scene structure, though. That's all for now. I'll see you on the next one.